Allô, Nissan? Hey, grosse tempête, hein?
Hey, Karine, oui, je sais, les vilains bonhommes de neige sont de retour.
Mais avec le Nissan Rogue à traction intégrale, c'est pas stressant.
Exact, il est conçu et testé pour nos hivers. Oh, Karine, il y a un bonhomme dans le Rogue.
Ah, c'est correct. J'ai allumé les sièges chauffants.
Ah, bien joué, Karine. Maîtrisez toutes les conditions. Louez le Rogue S 2026 à partir de 0,4% jusqu'à 36 mois, incluant une réduction fidélité de 0,5% pour les clients Nissan admissibles. Jusqu'au 2 mars, sur approbation de crédit, les conditions s'appliquent. Détails chez Nissan.
Earlier this week, Tesla unveiled the latest version of its full self-driving software. Tesla and its CEO, Elon Musk, have been promising a future of cars that drive themselves for years now. But this time, the claims are getting more serious attention. For now, only a small select group of early testers has had access to the software, and one of those lucky few joins us now on the line. Chuck Cook, he's a YouTuber that's been documenting his experience with Tesla's full self-driving software for a while now, is with us. Chuck, great pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Elias. Well, thanks for the call, and I appreciate the opportunity to give you an update.
And I love watching your videos here. Listen, you are so prolific with your videos. Tesla even named a corner after you in its software updates. Why didn't you tell me about, why you started to document full self-driving on YouTube and how that experience has been?
Yeah, well, sure. It started back in 2020 when the first few releases of full self-driving started coming out. And I'm kind of a technical, I guess you could say, geek by nature. I love engineering. I am an engineer. I'm also a commercial airline pilot, so I'm familiar with safety systems, moving humans around the planet you could think of, and also using automation. So I actually just reached out to Tesla, kind of sent them a little bit of a CV and said, hey, I think, I'd enjoy working with you and you might be able to use some of my feedback. They started releasing some software, and not very far from my house, there's just a pretty challenging intersection that has some high-speed cross traffic. And I said, hey, I'm going to start putting this on YouTube. And it ended up getting the attention of Elon, the attention of the engineers. And while I don't know this firsthand, I do know secondhand that I think internally someone said, we have to fix that turn. And for the last 4 years, they have just been using this turn as sort of the litmus test or the benchmark before they release any new software. And that's how it happened.
Tell our listeners about the work that you see Tesla engineers doing. You mentioned that high-speed intersection that you face as a driver as well. Tell us about what you've seen firsthand, because I've seen that as well, that you've seen the Tesla engineers in your neighborhood working on the software.
Yeah, because they've added it to their, quality assurance or their QA profile before they release it, at least publicly to customers. I've kind of gotten to know the vehicles that Tesla uses. The first time I saw a few Teslas that I just didn't recognize from my neighborhood, and then I said, wait a minute, those have Texas manufacturer license plates on them. This is actually an employee. And then I started noticing one of each different type, a Model 3 and a Model Y, and now there's even a Cybertruck driving around the neighborhood. And I've set up some camera systems so that even when I'm not home, I use some artificial intelligence scripting that I've written to capture the images so that I can share them with everyone, because it has sort of become a little bit of a canary in the coal mine, to use an analogy, to say that we might be getting ready to get a new release out in the public.
Chuck, before I get your take on this latest software, and that is coming, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. We're with Chuck Cook, YouTuber that tests out Tesla's self-driving software. Chuck, I want to ask you about the work you have to put into these videos, because when I watch them, it seems to me you've got drone shots. You're doing so much editing. Tell me about the work that goes into your channel.
Yeah. Well, thank you for acknowledging that it is a lot of work. Obviously, putting content together is no easy task. But you're right to point out that on my unprotected left-hand turn videos, especially when I put a drone in the air, I have 6 simultaneous streams of video that I'm merging, synchronizing, and cutting in order to put out this content. So I have a camera inside that's either a GoPro or a DJI Osmo. I put a 360-degree camera on the top of the car. I have a server inside of the car recording data off of the controller area network, or called the CAN bus. I've actually got a modification to my Tesla screen that allows me to extract that video via HDMI to another recording, and putting it all together and synchronizing it so it looks smooth and as if it was all taken in one cut, which it was. Does take, a few hours each day. So in order to appease the audience, I try to release a few highlight clips before the longer render times for the full-length videos, allows me to put it up on both YouTube and the X platform.
And you have quite the audience on YouTube and on X. So let's get down to it here. Chuck, listen, I have a Tesla, and I'm on the last version of the software, 12.5.6.3. You've run the latest, the 13.2. Is it lucky 13 for Tesla?
I do think that this will be the last major branch before Tesla attempts to go autonomous in a few select cities. So I do think this is the branch that will allow them to do it. And I say that because they've added the last few functions, the capabilities that the car didn't have on your software version. It can now reverse. If it gets stuck at the end of a cul-de-sac, it can do a 3-point turn to turn around. It can pull into a parking space, and it can actually pull out of a parking space. And even on your version, you know that you have some versions of someone to have the car come to you to pick you up at the beginning of a restaurant or a grocery store, perhaps. And perhaps they do have the other end of that they're going to call, go park, or, banish is another term where the car will drop you off and then go find a parking spot. So because they've got this reversing and parking capability, really they have all the pieces they need to go autonomous. Now, I do think that they have a little bit more iteration to go before they're ready to do that, and the timing of that is something I'd hate to speculate on because we've been wrong for so many years now. But I don't think it's going to be a version 14 going unsupervised, or at least attempting to go unsupervised in an area such as California or Texas.
Chuck, when you talk to someone, one of the things that I struggle with is trying to explain to someone just what the car is capable of doing, because it's from the future almost, right? And people don't understand, especially if they're going to compare it to another vehicle, what's available. How do you describe it to someone? When you're talking to someone who has genuinely no knowledge of the technology that's available today, how do you describe it?
Yeah, you're right to point that out, because most people's frame of reference about a car driving itself are the modern ADAS, or driver assistance systems, that every car has, pretty much on the road today, from Kias to Hyundais to Fords to Chevrolets to BMWs and Mercedes. They've all got some form of lane keeping or hands-free even on the highway for some of them. So this is the paradigm they have, and they think, well, my car drives itself. But to take that paradigm of that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a car that will stop at stop signs, wait for pedestrians, pause to, shoot gaps in intersections and unprotected turns without traffic signals. It's just a whole nother order. And honestly, a lot of people, we even had a conversation on the X last night, that are we at the Chat GPT moment for full self-driving? And unfortunately, I don't know that we're going to have a Chat GPT moment, because everyone doesn't have access to a Tesla to go do it themselves like they did when they just went and downloaded Chat GPT a few years ago. So it's going to take owners like you and me to actually put butts in seats and take them for drives and say, look what this car is doing, and watch my hands and my feet. It is doing absolutely nothing. And that's when the light bulb goes off and most people's minds are blown.
And Chuck, what do you think are the main challenges that still, because I get questions about safety. Well, is it safe compared to a human driver? What do you think about that safety question and the challenges that lie ahead?
I argue in many of the phases of a drive, it is already much safer than a human, specifically once you're on the highway, or even once you're on a main city road, managing traffic signals. I already think it has the attention span and the visibility better than a human. I do think that high-speed cross-traffic continues to offer some challenges with the unpredictable nature of other vehicles that might be speeding, or say someone's on a motorbike and they're going twice the speed limit. Some situations like that obviously present risk, but even a human could get into an accident in that situation. So we do have to overcome the paradigm of this is a robot, and as long as it has fewer accidents than a human, it overall is better. But most people can't tolerate a mistake by a machine like they can with a human. So I do think that, we're not there yet. I think that 2025 is going to be another great year to measure progress upon. And Tesla has publicly stated they believe that they will get to unsupervised in some areas this year. And I'm hopeful that they will do that. I do think that their solution using cameras and not LiDARs and radars will work. I do think that Elon and his engineers are good at iterating to find the right solution, even if their initial ones were not perfect, as you might think.
I'll direct all our listeners to go check you out on YouTube. Do a search for Chuck Cook, and you will find Chuck Cook's YouTube channel, and you can see those videos for yourself. Chuck, tremendous pleasure. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Elias. Have a great day, everybody.
That's YouTuber Chuck Cook right there.